If you're a mom who's ever had to power through the pain of a clogged duct, you can understand how challenging and painful that can be, which is exactly why we need to help this mom who wrote, I'm planning to nurse, but do you have any tips for how to clear out clogged ducts if I get one? I heard they're really painful. They are. Will I lose my milk supply if I happen to get them? So today we're going to talk a little bit about some prevention as well as some treatment if you do happen to get one, as well as when to seek out help from your medical doctor. And I'm going to be sharing my own experience. I did get them when I was both exclusively pumping as well as nursing for my previous two babies. But if you are another mom that comes across this episode, I would love for you to share any of your suggestions in the comments below to help other moms that may find themselves in a similar situation. But let's first talk about prevention. So I will say that the first time I woke up with clogged ducts, I did experience them on both breasts. And it was because I noticed that they were in very similar spots and that they were in very similar sizes. And I was the type of person that I was just like, when I first got pregnant and was going through the nursing experience, I leaked everywhere. And I did not like the feeling of waking up in the morning being drenched. So I had this genius idea that I was just like, oh, well, I'm going to just go to bed with my nursing bra on and I will wake up and it won't be a problem. Well, lo and behold, I woke up the next day in a lot of pain because as you sleep overnight, your breasts become engorged and your clothing becomes tighter. And it took me quite a while. I'm actually embarrassed with how long it took me to figure out, okay, why did this happen? So my first suggestion is, of course, to make sure you're wearing loose enough clothing because any tight, restrictive clothing around your breast could cause a clogged duct. Another thing to keep in mind too with overnight sleeping is typically when you have a newborn, you're going to have to wake up at least once a night, most likely twice a night, to nurse or feed your baby. And during that time, if you can go longer, just be really careful about any engorgement that you may experience, because when you don't fully drain your breast and you go through large periods of engorgement, then that can actually cause a clogged duct to occur. At least that has been my own experience. So if you are not able to fully drain your breast, either through nursing or pumping, I would also encourage you to get familiar with hand expressing because that can help you fully drain your breast to just like prevent clogged ducts, because that if you don't fully drain your breast, you will more likely experience a clogged duct. Now, another thing that I kind of leading into the, like prevention as well as treatment is once I experienced my first clogged duct, I was in the care of a midwife from my hospital, and she had actually suggested taking sunflower lecithin. Now you can actually find this over the counter. I'm not going to give you any specific dosage recommendations because it's very what's the right word, dependent on your packaging and how it is packaged and like the amounts that are included in the different serving sizes. So I would just encourage you to talk with your medical provider to see what is safe for you as well as your baby as far as dosing goes. But for my own recommendation, what was given to me by my nurse and nurse midwife was she told me that I could take it up to, again, based off of my individual dosage, up to 4 times a day. So I actually ended up taking it once in the morning, once in the afternoon, once in the evening with a meal, and then one more time before I went to bed. Now that was more as a preventive thing. And sunflower lecithin, like what it essentially does is it's a natural fat emulsifier. So it helps like suspend the fat and prevent the stickiness of your milk. So if you are pumping to store your milk, or if you pump and put extra milk in the fridge, you'll notice that it separates. Well, as soon as you start taking sunflower lecithin and it is like starting to work in your body, you'll notice that there's not a heavy layer of cream at the top. It's actually all completely together. It suspends that fat so it's not super sticky at the top. And that's what helps to not only prevent, but also treat and help clear those clogged ducts. So when I was experiencing a clogged duct, if I was not taking it on a regular basis, then what I would do is I would take a really big dose as soon as I felt a clogged duct occurring. But then as I got more experience and I was like, well, this sucks having a clogged duct. I don't want to go through this experience anymore. I just took it as a prevention more regularly throughout my day. So again, talk to your medical provider depending on how you end up receiving your sunflower lecithin and what is the appropriate dosage for you to take for you and the safety of your baby. Now, I will say that taking sunflower lecithin I did experience more gas. So that would be another thing that you maybe might want to think about, and whether or not that, like if your baby has or is experiencing a lot of colic or a lot of gassiness, then that's another thing to consider if that's something that you do want to take on a normal day basis, if it's going to make your baby incredibly uncomfortable. I personally did not notice any change with like my baby's comfort or discomfort, or, like their own natural bowel movements from taking it. But my I just want you to be aware of it in case it is something that you may run into or start experiencing. Outside of sunflower lecithin, some other things that really helped when I was going through and experiencing clogged ducts is to use either a hot compress to relax the muscles and help encourage milk flow, as well as cold compresses to help reduce inflammation. And then some other moms had also said, from what I was researching online when I was going through this experience, as well as like after, is that some moms found that using like an electric toothbrush helped to clear their clogged duct. Now that was not my experience, even though I definitely tried. It was like it just didn't work for me. It was not successful. I did find that hand expression to be more successful for me personally. But hey, when you're in that much pain, like I was in so much pain that I had to have my husband stay home with me because I could not care for my child because I was in so much pain trying to work out this clogged duct when I did experience them. So, some of the things to definitely talk to your doctor about if you start developing any fever or flu-like symptoms, as well as any, and when I read this, I was just like, well, I already experienced redness and warmth on my breast. Like I was already in pain from a clogged duct. But I think the point here is if it starts worsening or if it's increasing to significant discomfort, that's when you definitely want to seek out treatment, because clogged ducts can turn into mastitis, which is can be a very severe medical condition. So if none of the remedies or home treatments, especially if that sunflower lecithin is not helping you, make sure you do seek out the treatment from a doctor, because it can become more serious. Now, another thing that I did find helpful when I started like feeling like maybe I'm starting to develop a clogged duct, even though I was taking sunflower lecithin, or if I did get a clogged duct once I was nursing, is I would stay up overnight with my baby and just let him nurse around the clock. And that actually helped to clear the clogged duct as well. It is safe for you to continue nursing with a clogged duct. In fact, it's probably recommended, so that way you can fully drain your breast and help clear that out. So yeah, hopefully you'll find some of these suggestions helpful to you. And as I said before, if you're another mom that has some other suggestions or want to share your story, I would encourage you to drop that in the comments below. But now it's your turn. If you have a question that you would like to submit for an upcoming episode, you can find the link listed below in the description. But if you enjoyed today's conversation and are interested in other conversations very similar for this stage of life, I'll link up a playlist for you to check out next.